7th, 2023. There's Linda. And I'm Cole. Here's a bridge. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. Linda's starting her first day. And I don't know about Roadie. I really don't know. I'd have to sit down with some experts on logistics and say, well, why do they do this? And a little crazy. And thing about Roadie, I would be weary on is that if you're across town and there's nothing near you, you know, you'd have to drive quite a bit of time, sometimes even 20 miles to find something. So I think it needs some improvement. I think, I don't know, maybe they can do like some kind of something on the app where you're only allowed to take things within 20 miles or so. I don't know. It just seems a little stretched out, and I don't know. Let's just put it this way. I guess you have to be very patient to wait in your area. Or you'll be, if you're not a very patient person, then you'll be all over the place. And I don't know why they designed it to be that way, but it's kind of like open call for any area within Texas. You know, it's insane. This is how they have it set up. It's hard to deal with.
Than what it says.
Nitrogen refrigerated liquid coming out of Oklahoma. Guys, everybody knows that this is part of the old school United States Postal Service that it was built in 1931, which is right here, and then it went into effect in 1933. But they have these two large buildings right next to it that are apartments now. Just wondering if they were part of the post office or not. I think they were. Anyway, if you know, let me know. Leave a comment.
I'm Mark Franklin.
Gas at 255. Well, my own personal opinion about Roadie is that since you have to go and find the actual offer and then press on it and then see if it's accepted, they may not feel as responsible as other companies that do the logistics for you, like Favor and Uber Eats and Postmates and things like that. Because they're like, well, you pressed on it, you chose it, you know. I think they can get people in trouble because of that. You know, like if you're in Dallas and there's an offer out in Fort Worth and you press on it and then they give it to you, why they would, I don't understand. But I mean, you'd have to go from Dallas to Fort Worth. or the other way around. So though, I'm like, well, we're not responsible for that because, you know, we don't do those types of logistics. You chose to do it, you know, that kind of thing. It's kind of a philosophy that people kind of go by. I think it should be reviewed, personally. Like Skylink approached. All right, a bunch of troopers coming out of Portland, and busy holiday. So a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna be heading back. Okay. All right. Right past the Amazon Prime truck. That's the building they used for, well, they didn't use the actual building for office space, they just the outside of it. But I'm at kind of a weird angle. That's the building right there. That's from the Galleria. It's connected to the Galleria. It's the, anyway, that's the parking garage there. But the shot was a reverse shot. I get this sometimes because I'm always headed back. But you can see the building from the mirror. It looks kind of backwards shot, but that was one of the buildings used. Or it's actually in the opening shot of Office Space 1999. Jennifer Aniston and Rob Livingston. I felt about the struggles of working in an office, which I've been there for sure. And in the food industry, because Jennifer Aniston's character works in the food industry. Peter Gibbons' struggle. Now he kind of gets out of it. I'm not reading, but I'm listening. I'm listening to Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry. I didn't know Friends was originally called Friends Like Us. And also, a friend of his named Hank was offered the role of Chandler, and he told him to take it. And people had come to him to help him read for the role of Chandler, other actors. But he knew he was Chandler. But yet he was seeing it go to this other guy. And then there was another show during the pilot season of 1994 called Best Friends. His friend Hank took that show instead of Friends Like Us, which was Friends, which eventually would become Matthew Perry's role, which was Chandler. He was meant to play Chandler, obviously. There was many auditions that went through. It wasn't just him. And that was the one he called his agents on, and it was like he felt it was his destiny. So he put himself in the situation. But it was interesting to hear that people were coming to him saying, hey, how should I read for this? This role's yours, basically, is what they were saying. Because it fit his personality. And then he would give coaching lessons on how to read for Chandler. Now, this is coming from his book. It's hard to believe that really happened, but that's what he said. And he was very envious of anyone that was being offered Chandler, and he would hear about it. He would be like the first to hear about it. It's very strange. Yeah, the whole, this role is dedicated to me, or this role was meant for me, is what they would say, is a very strange, mysterious aspect of theater and film and media and television. Because it happens in every single circumstance of a famous person, and no one's more famous than Matthew Perry. I mean, he's a household name, just like Jennifer Aniston. All the Friends people, everyone knew Matt LeBlanc's name, Matthew Perry, Jennifer Aniston, and don't forget about Courtney Cox. There's 5 of them. And then the Ross guy. Geller, I have to remember his name again. Schwimmer, David Schwimmer. Yeah, I was reading about him the other day. David Schwimmer. They became the most famous thing on television other than Seinfeld. And no one knew all the actors' names on Seinfeld as much as they knew the actors' names on Friends. And he talks about fame throughout the whole thing. It was like an addiction to him. Not as horrible as alcohol, but yet it was something that he went after. They were all obsessed with fame. So they knew... I think the actors at the time knew that Friends Like Us, which was Friends, NBC Friends, was going to be something that was going to make them like very famous, and then it was going to be a great show, which I never really watched it. I think it was because of its commercialism. But now when I see it, if it's on YouTube or if it comes up, I do pay attention to it. Because it has more weight now than it did when it was going on at the time before Matthew Perry lost his life. In a horrible way. Of course, it took a long time. And it was because of the devastation of alcoholism and drugs, especially painkillers. And everyone knew that was going on when it was happening. And I don't know the research that was done, but it was everyone was talking about it at the time. That he was afflicted with the addiction of painkillers and still playing the role of Chandler being on Friends. And everyone knew that was going on. And it just kept going on. But it didn't kill him. Not until much, much later. The effects of it. It never killed him as he was doing it. He had to become sober first, tell his story. Which I recommend the book, even though there's language in it, but he's speaking in his own voice, which is I think is how he made the book. So it's a powerful book. It also makes the show Friends even more famous than what it was. Even today's standards, it's going to be famous. It is an amazing phenomenon, that series, and no one took it serious. No actor. In my field, we were paying attention to the Scorsese movies. Friends was like almost something that had been sponsored by Disney, even though it was sponsored by NBC. I mean, it was a clean-cut comedy show that was a household show that people would talk about maybe at the dinner table, and it got people's attention, but it was not, it was not an artistic endeavor for an actor. I don't think it was. It looked like something easy. It's something that we would make fun of in acting class. Because it was clean cut and charming and like kind of put on. It wasn't pretentious. But now when you see it, it has a gritty feel to it. It's like you pay attention to it, and the laughter sounds different because of the effects of what happened to him. It has a dark side to it. Friends does. It's not this clean cut thing. And even when we heard about him being on painkillers, we thought, well, hopefully he'll go to rehab and it'll be a minor thing, when it was a major, destructive thing that he did to himself. And it takes him a book. I don't know how long the book is, but it's in like 5 parts on YouTube. A very long time to kind of describe why he went in that dark path. Meaning it's a meaty book with a lot of ideas and philosophies about addiction, which I'm going to be probably studying quite a bit. I'm not afflicted, not with alcoholism or drugs. Fortunately, I made a promise to myself. I think I was on set on a small little movie. I've always had small little roles. I was playing a student in a film called Only in America, and we heard that River Phoenix had died before a bar, the Viper Room. And I think Christian Slater took the role of Interview with a Vampire and made some kind of fund about, like an anti-drug thing, which I thought, hey, you can get on this boat. You can be an actor to represent anti-drugs. And I made that promise to stay away from it as much as possible, which I was able to keep most of that promise. Everyone has their addictions with something, but that stuff really does kill you. It really does kill you. It sincerely kills you in a very bad way. I'm not saying that I'm free of like every type of addiction. This is Coke and Coke Zero, which I shouldn't really be drinking. And caffeine is an addiction. There's always, binge watching is an addiction. There's always something. But nothing kills you better than painkillers and alcohol and drugs and all of that stuff. Nothing will get you quicker, or at least take years off your life, because he died, in his late 50s? It makes you think. When Friends comes on, that's what you think about now. It's not the success and fame of a show about friends, but now it's kind of a show about addiction. I don't know, I just want to say that. So LAX 2194 was a pilot show in 1994 that they had already secured for Matthew Perry, and he had already kind of halfway accepted it. He was playing a baggage handler. LAX 2194 was the name of the pilot show that they had written, and this was alongside of Friends Like Us, and then another show called Best Friends. And he's playing a character called Blaine. He did not want the role at all. I don't know if it would have saved him. I guess maybe since he did gain power and, well, of course, fame. I haven't got to the point where he's going into houses and looking in medicine cabinets. This is going to make some type of series or movie. I don't know if it'll just stay a book, but it would be a nightmare. Any type of adaptation's a nightmare. It would be very tough, and I don't know, it's just because his book has so much detailed information, and it does. What you realize, first of all, when you're listening to Matthew Perry speak, is this guy's been trained to, first of all, to entertain. Whether it was coming from instinct, he was trained by God, most likely, but he can entertain. And he has a witty tongue, so he was meant to be a writer, for one thing. Another thing too is he has a great understanding of pop culture and commercialism, and can dish it all out in a way that works alongside of his true struggle with something that did shorten his life, which was alcoholism and painkillers. I don't know all the specifics. I've delved into the books several times, which in turn makes the book addictive. The book itself. And those type of people are. I don't know. I didn't see the reading. I lie. I did see some of the reading of, or I've heard about some of the reading of Matthew Perry when he read for it. And there's just, you know, a way that he did it that got the attention of the casting directors, and then he got the role. But it's a parallel universe, is what Friends, or Friends Like Us, which was the title of it. I don't know why they dropped that, but they just called it Friends. It's a parallel universe to what he was. It's not the same universe. It's similar to a certain degree, and he did bring painkillers onto it, but you didn't see him popping painkillers on the show. And why not? You know, why wouldn't they have written that in? Because it would address the issue way quicker and made him think. You know, that would have been a very interesting way to handle his personal problem. Instead, when they knew it was happening, the writers, of course, just like sometimes they do with other issues, they just covered it up. I don't know if it would have helped him or not. Addiction is a very powerful thing. But I can tell you this, Linda doesn't like for me to show it. And you have to really have a keen eye, probably, even though I talk about it, to see what's going on with her. I don't know any other way but with prayer to reveal the issue. I don't know any other way to handle it at all. And I started vlogging, but not the show. The Please Subscribe show was created in the midst of that. But beforehand, I was just doing B-roll. I just liked looking at clouds and buildings. And Linda came into my life and became this character which is directly dealing with addiction. And I have no idea. I'm not a specialist. I've been around it. I'll tell you that. I've been around it. My dad had a problem, not with alcohol, but he had a problem with other things because of business in the 1980s. I had a problem with cigarettes at a time, but I don't know any other way to approach it, and she doesn't like to reveal it. And I don't know if Matthew Perry, when he was doing Friends, would have allowed them to do that. And I don't know if it was offered. I don't know if it was brought up in the writing room. I don't know what was going on, right? Because part of addiction and a part of friends and people around it will want to intervene. Just like if someone was on a bridge and they were going to hurt themselves, they would intervene. I think that was in a thing Rob and I did, which was called The Way of Man, where they'll intervene. Just like animals sometimes will help one another. Like fish sometimes will help one another if they're caught in a dam or something, to jump out of the dam and then be free, you know? I don't know. It's a hard thing. If we were all on the Titanic and we're all in the water and there are raft boats around, we're all going to try to help each other get on those raft boats and beat that little thing, right? And you know, Matthew Perry, his last attempt, he finally found soberness. He finally beat it and got onto that raft boat. And what did he do? He picked up a pen and paper to a certain degree, and he jotted it down so that he could hand over that raft boat to someone else with that message on what to do. But it takes a long time to get there, meaning to listen to it and to try to get an answer. And talk and constantly saying, listen, stop drinking, stop drinking, stop drinking. That doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. And I've been reading about it. I've been told to even stay away from that kind of thing. To stay away from that. But accountability is another thing. I'll talk about it later. 15%. Okay, Linda pointed out the difference between the two. We're buying toilet paper. Okay, so the Purina Cat stuff is actually better. Because where's the ingredients in the meow mix? We got a meow mix the other day. It's corn something?
Whole ground corn, soybean
I see.
milk, chicken byproducts.
Wait, where does it even say chicken?
No, it doesn't. There's no real chicken. Animal Digest.
So this has it. You want to show where this one? This is, let's show the brand here. Well, let's see. This is the good one, Purina Cat Chow, and it does say chicken right there. It's
Real
the
chicken is the number one
ingredient.
ingredient. 25 vitamins and minerals.
It's a couple of dollars to help your cat
fillers.
out. Because instead of paying this amount, which is 5, you're paying this amount, which is 7.
It's still not the bestest in the world, but
Not the best, but at least it has the chicken.
chicken is the
Right.
main ingredient.
Good point. Appreciate that.